The certificate in Amelia Grant's hand felt as thin as tissue paper. Just moments ago, she had been excited to share it with her family, a regional business award that meant the world to her. Please like and subscribe to my channel for more contents. But now, standing in the middle of her parents' living room, it felt like a child's drawing. Her father's voice cut sharply through the air, slicing her excitement like a blade. "Useless girl. You were never the bright one," Robert Grant muttered, just loud enough for everyone to hear. The room fell silent. Wine glasses froze midair. Conversations halted. Her cousins looked away, suddenly fascinated by the carpet or their phones. The pride she had carried in her chest vanished instantly, replaced by that all-too-familiar hollow ache. The floor beneath her feet seemed to sway, as if it too were trying to disappear. She stood exposed, vulnerable, and once again overlooked. Her name might have been spoken in newspapers and on stages lately, but here, in the house where she had grown up, she was still invisible. "My name is Amelia Grant," she would later say into a microphone, voice strong and unwavering. "I'm the founder of a company that reshaped how businesses think." But back then, in the shadow of her brother Brandon, she had been nothing more than a footnote. Brandon was the golden child, always had been. At family dinners, Robert would beam as he listed Brandon's awards, promotions, and contracts. "Dad," Amelia had tried that evening, forcing the words past the knot in her throat. "I was thinking of expanding the company into—" "Amelia, please!" Her father cut her off, waving his hand. "Let's focus on actual success for a moment. Your brother just secured $1 million state contract." Amelia blinked, her voice stolen. Her mother, Elaine, offered a weak smile but said nothing, and Aunt Clara leaned over and patted Amelia's hand, whispering, "Maybe business isn't your thing, dear. You always had such a talent for little crafts." Little crafts. That's how they saw her company, her life's work, as if it were some Etsy shop run from a spare room. She managed a polite nod and excused herself to the kitchen. Her phone buzzed just as she stepped out of view. A message from her business partner, Lila Chin. "Did you tell them about the investor meeting?" Amelia stared at the screen, then slowly typed back, "Not yet. Timing's not right." But the truth was harsher. The timing was never right in this house. Not when Brandon was always winning awards, not when her father saw her as fragile and unfocused. "Too emotional," he had once told her flatly. "Not CEO material." That phrase clung to her ribs like thorns. Every achievement she made was dismissed as luck or a fluke, and every failure, no matter how small, was confirmation of what he already believed. As she rejoined the living room with a forced smile, no one asked about her certificate. No one even noticed it was gone. What they didn't see was the fire quietly building inside her, a fire that would soon burn through every doubt they'd ever had. The next morning, Amelia pulled into the parking lot of a converted warehouse on the east side of Columbus. Her company, Neurospark, had started as scribbles on napkins during lunch breaks at a thankless software job. Now it occupied half a floor and boasted 15 employees. She walked past the bold silver letters on the glass door and entered to the smell of coffee and the sound of clicking keyboards. "That bad, huh?" Lila asked, sliding her a cup. Amelia gave a half smile. Same story, different day. Brandon closed a state deal, and you'd think he discovered a new planet. Meanwhile, we're just out here, quietly transforming predictive analytics. You know, no big deal. Lila grinned. "Well, the investor meeting is confirmed for Thursday. Westlake Ventures wants to see the new algorithm live." Amelia's eyes brightened. "When it goes well," she corrected, "we'll have the capital to scale and go head-to-head with Horizon Data." That name, Horizon, still made her jaw clench. 3 years ago, they had rejected her job application, suggesting she try a less technical role. That rejection letter still sat in her desk drawer like a scar, back at her childhood home. Reminders of that hierarchy were everywhere. The mantelpiece was practically a shrine to Brandon, Photos, medals, framed certificates. Her own graduation picture was buried in a dusty album somewhere, rarely seen. Amelia had spent 3 years in a shoebox apartment, surviving on instant noodles and hope. She had poured every cent into Neurospark. First her savings, then a business loan, and finally a small angel investment from a mentor she'd met at a tech incubator. She worked 18-hour days. Some nights she'd collapse on her futon, still hearing her father's voice echo in her mind. Useless girl. You were never the bright one. But now, the world was beginning to see her differently. She just needed to make her family see it too. The day of the investor meeting arrived with rain tapping softly against the warehouse windows. Amelia stood in front of the mirror in the office restroom, adjusting her navy blue blazer. Her hands trembled slightly, but her eyes were steady. "We've prepared for this," she whispered to herself. Lila walked in behind her. "You ready to make tech history?" she teased. Amelia chuckled nervously. "Let's just get through the pitch first." In the conference room at Westlake Ventures, the air was warm and the lighting too bright. Amelia's voice was calm, though her heart raced. "As you can see from our projections, Neurospark's algorithm consistently outperforms market standards by 27%, she explained. "It's not just about numbers. It's about predicting human behavior before it happens." Across the table, Gregory Westlake leaned forward. "How does this compare to Horizon Data's new platform?" Amelia smiled. "Horizon relies on historical data sets. Neurospark integrates real-time emotional indicators. Horizon tells you what happened yesterday. We tell you what will happen tomorrow." 2 hours later, Amelia and Lila stood in the building's marble lobby, staring at each other in disbelief. "Did that just happen?" Lila whispered. Amelia nodded slowly. "They want to lead the funding round," she said. "And they're valuing us at $90 million. Her voice cracked slightly at the end. Lila let out a sound between a laugh and a sob. "We did it." Amelia's phone buzzed in her hand. A message from her mother. "Don't forget your father's retirement party on Sunday. Maybe you can bring those cookies you used to make? Everyone loved those." Amelia stared at the screen, then handed the phone to Lila. "Cookies," she said dryly. "I just negotiated a deal that changed my life, and I'm being asked to bake." Lila winced. "They really don't get it, do they?" "No," Amelia said softly, "but they will." The days that followed moved like a blur of legal documents, interviews, and nonstop calls. Their PR team crafted careful press releases. The funding was official. Amelia was now one of the youngest female tech CEOs in the country. On Thursday morning, Lila burst into her office, breathless. Forbes, Business Insider, Wall Street Journal. They're all running it. Amelia blinked. "Already? I thought the press embargo." They pushed it early to coincide with the tech summit this week. "It's everywhere." Lila turned the tablet toward her. Amelia stared at her own face on the Forbes website, next to a headline that read, "Disruptor Alert. Amelia Grant becomes youngest female tech CEO after $90 million investment." Her stomach dropped. She hadn't told her family yet. She was supposed to break the news at the party. Now the entire world knew before they did. As if summoned by the thought, her phone began to vibrate on the desk. Messages poured in. Old college friends, former coworkers, even people she hadn't spoken to in years. "Congratulations. You're amazing. So proud of you." But from her parents? Nothing. From Brandon? Silence. "You'd think going viral as a tech prodigy would earn a text," Amelia muttered. Lila glanced over. "Maybe they're still processing. Or maybe they just don't care," Amelia said, trying to sound casual. But the ache in her chest told a different story. After Lila left, Amelia stared at the screen, her finger hovering before she pressed call. The line rang. Her father answered. "Hello." "Hi, Dad," she said. "Just wanted to check in. Did you see the news?" "I suppose you think we should be impressed," Robert replied coolly. making headlines in the business section. That's nice. I built this company from scratch, Amelia said, keeping her voice even. With no help, no connections, not even your encouragement. And now you've got your name in some articles, he said. Let's see how long it lasts before reality sets in. Amelia closed her eyes. The old script again. The reality, she replied, is that I now run a $90 million company. One that's changing the way data is used. Her father exhaled sharply. Tech bubbles burst. Brandon's built something real. Something with foundation. She said nothing more. The line went dead. Sunday arrived with perfect weather. Clear skies and sunshine. Birdsong in the air. Amelia sat in her new Jaguar F-Type at the end of her parents' long driveway. The car gleamed like pride itself. A congratulatory gift she had bought for herself with the early portion of the investment funds. It wasn't subtle. That was the point. Guests were already arriving, trickling into the backyard where tables were set up under white canopies. Amelia took a deep breath and stepped out. Heads turned. She could feel eyes on her. Cousin Drew paused mid-conversation, mouth open. Is that Amelia? She smiled, handed him the keys, and said with calm confidence, Could you park it for me? Looks like the driveway's full. Her mother, Elaine, was the next to notice. She froze mid-greeting, her smile faltering as she took in Amelia's appearance. Gone was the plain, practical daughter they were used to. Amelia now wore a tailored cream suit that fit like armor, paired with a bold blue silk blouse and elegant heels. Her jewelry gleamed subtly, not flashy, but unmistakably expensive. Amelia, Elaine said, slowly blinking. You look different. Thank you, Amelia replied smoothly. She didn't offer explanations. She didn't need to. She made her way through the crowd, exchanging polite smiles, until she finally approached the grill where her father stood, flipping steaks. Dad, she said, holding out a small wrapped box. Happy retirement. Robert turned. His expression gave away nothing. He accepted the gift with a short nod, but didn't unwrap it. You didn't need to bring anything, he said. I wanted to, she replied, meeting his gaze directly. Then, without another word, she walked away, heels clicking on the stone patio. The crowd was buzzing now. Guests whispered as they saw her. Some remembered her as the quiet Grant girl who never quite fit in. Others recognized her from the articles that had surfaced only days ago. Isn't that the girl from the news? One guest murmured. The CEO. Amelia caught snippets of conversations. She moved through the garden like someone finally seen. At a table near the fountain, Brandon and his wife Melissa looked up, visibly surprised. Quite an entrance, sis, Brandon said, forcing a smile. Nice car. We read about your company, Melissa added. Very impressive. Why didn't you ever say anything about it before? Amelia raised an eyebrow. I did, she said plainly. Many times. No one was listening. Brandon's face twitched. He remembered. He remembered the dinners where she tried to talk about algorithms and investor pitches, only to be interrupted or ignored. Well, Melissa said brightly, everyone's listening now. People are talking about that valuation. 90 million, right? Heads turned nearby. Someone gasped. Others leaned in to hear more. Amelia took a sip of sparkling water, letting the weight of the moment settle around her. It's been a long road, she said. But yes, the technology we've developed is revolutionary. Brandon nodded slowly. I'd love to hear more sometime. My company might be interested in using something like that. Amelia smiled without warmth. Funny, I pitched the idea to you 3 years ago. You told me to try something more practical first. Brandon cleared his throat. Well, things change. Yes, Amelia replied. They do. She kept her tone polite, measured. But the shift in the air was undeniable. Relatives who had once brushed her off now came forward. Aunts, cousins, even old neighbors. They asked about Neurospark, her journey, what it felt like to be in Forbes. Someone even asked for a business card. She glanced over at her father, still standing at the grill, his eyes following her as if trying to place this version of his daughter. He hadn't opened her gift, but she could see something in his expression. Curiosity, maybe even a hint of respect. As the afternoon sun dipped lower, Robert tapped his glass with a fork. The crowd turned toward him. "First of all," he began, "thank you all for coming. It's been a long career, 40 years in engineering. I've seen a lot of change." Laughter and applause followed. "I'd like to acknowledge my family," he continued. "Brandon, my son, recently promoted to vice president at Hamilton Financial. We're proud of you, son." More applause. Brandon smiled and nodded. "And Amelia," Robert paused. A beat of silence passed. "Amelia, who apparently has been quietly building something none of us fully understood." The crowd went quiet. "I always said she was the emotional one," he added, chuckling awkwardly. "But it seems I may have underestimated how far that emotional intelligence could take her." Glasses clinked. Some guests clapped. Amelia remained seated, her face calm. It wasn't quite an apology. Not even close. But it was the first time her father had ever acknowledged her achievements in front of anyone. Later that evening, as guests began to leave and fairy lights lit the yard, Amelia found herself alone near the garden's edge. Her father approached, holding a glass of whiskey. "You haven't opened your gift," she said quietly. Robert looked at the box in his hand, then back at her. "I wanted to wait until it was quieter." He took a slow breath. "So, CEO." Amelia nodded. "Yes." "Of a $90 million company," he continued. "Yes." "And the youngest woman to do it, according to the papers." "That's what they say." He studied her for a long moment. "I don't understand any of this tech stuff," he said finally. "In my day, business was simple. You built something. You sold it." "It's still that," she replied. "Just different tools." "That car of yours," he added, motioning toward the Jaguar. "Quite the statement." "It's not a statement," she said. "It's a reward. For every night I went hungry. Every time I was called useless. Every time you made me doubt myself." His jaw tightened, but he didn't deny it. Robert glanced down at the watch box in his hand. He finally opened it. Inside was a sleek, custom-engraved timepiece. On the back it read, "To new beginnings. Love, Amelia." He traced the words with his thumb. "You knew what you were doing pulling up in that thing," he said, eyes still on the watch. "Yes," Amelia admitted. "I did." He gave a small nod. "Well, you've built something. I see that now." "It was never about proving you wrong," she said. "It was about proving I was right about myself." He gave a small chuckle. "You certainly did that." She met his gaze. "I know I'll never be the child you pictured, but I'm proud of who I am." He took a sip of whiskey. "As you should be." Then, more softly, he added, "So am I." The words hung in the air between them, imperfect, delayed, but real. For the first time in years, Amelia didn't feel invisible. 2 months later, the ribbon-cutting ceremony at Neurospark's new downtown headquarters drew a crowd of journalists, investors, and family alike. The building was a sleek structure of glass and steel, futuristic yet grounded, much like the company itself. Amelia stood at the entrance, scissors in hand, when she saw them arrive. Her mother stepped forward first, eyes glistening. "We're so proud of you, sweetheart," Elaine said, hugging her tightly. "I'm sorry if we didn't show it before." Amelia smiled gently. "Thank you for coming." Brandon approached next, looking genuinely impressed. "This is incredible, sis. I had no idea this is what you were building." Amelia tilted her head. "That's because you never asked." Her voice held no anger now, just truth. Brandon nodded slowly. "Fair enough." He looked around, visibly taking it all in. Finally, Robert Grant stepped up to the glass doors. He wore a gray suit and engraved watch she had given him. His eyes moved across the Neurospark logo, the staff members greeting guests, the screens inside showing Amelia's achievements. "It's a beautiful place," he said. "You built all this?" "Every part," Amelia replied, "from napkin sketches to here." He gave a small nod. "Wouldn't have missed this for the world." They stood in silence for a moment, side by side. The past still lingered between them, but it no longer held her back. "You know, Dad," she said, glancing at him, "all those times you told me I wasn't the bright one, that I was too emotional." He looked down ashamed. "I remember." "It hurt," she said, voice steady, "but it also made me stronger." He looked at her, a mix of regret and pride in his eyes. "And now look at you," he said quietly. "I was wrong." "Yes," Amelia agreed. "You were." Inside the Neurospark headquarters, the ribbon finally dropped with applause echoing across the polished floors. Journalists snapped photos and Amelia's team cheered. As the ceremony faded into conversations and interviews, Amelia took a quiet moment in her new corner office. All glass walls and natural light. She stood alone for a beat, looking out at the city skyline. This office had once been a dream. Now it was real. Her phone buzzed with a message from Lila. "You did it." "We did it." Amelia smiled and typed back, "We're just getting started." A gentle knock broke the moment. It was her father. He stepped inside, glancing around. "Quite the view," he said. "It is," Amelia agreed, gesturing to the seat across from her. "Wanna sit?" He lowered himself slowly, still wearing the engraved watch. "I've been thinking a lot lately," he began. "You always pushed forward, even when we didn't believe. I see that now." Amelia said nothing, letting the silence say what words couldn't. "I was hard on you," Robert added. "Maybe I thought I was protecting you. But I realize now I was just afraid you'd prove me wrong." She looked at him and spoke gently. "You weren't just wrong about me, Dad. You were wrong about what success looks like. It's not about titles or contracts. It's about building something that matters and not letting anyone stop you." Robert leaned back, exhaling slowly. "You built something that matters, Amelia." She nodded. "And I'll keep building it." They both stood. He looked around the room once more. "It's strange. I came here today expecting to feel proud. Please like and subscribe to my channel for more contents. But what I really feel is humbled." For the first time, Amelia saw him not as the towering voice of judgment from her childhood, but as a man trying to understand the daughter he had underestimated. They walked to the glass door together. Staff and guests moved through the lobby beyond, the future in motion. "You know," Amelia said with a soft smile, "for years I wanted your approval. I thought I needed it to succeed." Robert turned to her. "And now?" "Now I know I never needed it," she said. "I just needed to believe in myself." As she stepped forward into the crowd, her heels clicking confidently on the marble floor, Amelia Grant felt lighter, not because she had finally been seen, but because she had stopped waiting to be. She was no longer someone's overlooked daughter. She was a visionary, a builder, a leader, and no one would ever call her useless again. Like and subscribe to my channel for more contents like this, and let us know where you are watching from under the comment section.